created everything. Look what a powerful being you are. You did these things, but now you're in a human body, you forget the power you have.
What you do is what the whole universe is doing at the place you call here and now. You are something the whole universe is doing in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing.
You're doing it.
Doing what?
Using your imagination.
Welcome to Meta Mysteries, where you don't know what you don't know. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Sean.
And today is going to be a fun show, Sean. We are getting into the Orphic Egg. I'm actually surprised we haven't talked about this yet.
Well, I mean, I think you have mentioned it before, but I know nothing about this thing. You know, you look at it and it's like, okay, I think I might have seen this thing before, you know, and just in passing, but I'm really interested to kind of see the meaning and I mean, what it all holds.
Yeah, dude, it's actually deeply symbolic, and that's what we're going to be getting around today. This is like mystery school shit, just so everybody knows, and that's what we've been trying to do a lot more like mystery school kind of things and understanding the ideology, understanding the philosophy, understanding the Gnostic understanding and the deeper meaning entrenched within literature and symbolism and stuff like that, and really trying to become ourselves initiated, you know?
Well, I think ultimately that's what it is. It's a story of us, you know, and if nothing else, even though, you know, the meaning of certain things maybe back then wasn't exactly accurate, it's still interesting to see kind of where we've come from and you know, the certain things that were revered back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. And I just love these deeper realms of thought that people go into. Dude, imagine like back in the day, and you know what? I just had this thought recently. I was like, man, how awesome would it have been to been like an ancient like Greek philosopher or something like that? And that's just what you do all day. You just philosophize. And I was like,
well, I mean,
wait a second.
That's what you do.
That's what we are doing right now.
Right, you know? There are certain days, man, where, I mean, most days probably, but there are certain days where I'll be at work and, you know, I'm doing my job, but a lot of it doesn't take like a whole lot of my brain, you know, I can do it with my eyes closed at this point. And so all day long, that's all I want to think about is the deeper shit. And when people want to have a conversation about some stuff like football or whatever, and nothing against, you know, people that like football or anything like that, but it seems like lately I only want to talk about the deepest shit, the most meaningful stuff. You know, as you said before we started recording, man, it's like we're on the back nine. Yeah. It's time to really start making some sense of some shit.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something, and don't get me wrong, I love football too, but 99% of my day, whenever I go into deep thought, it is trying to crack the code of what are we doing here? What is the meaning of all this? And, you know, uncovering a lot of the ancient people of like what they used to theorize and philosophize and try and come to somewhat of an understanding. And so today I thought, man, I was flipping through the pages of The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall.
And, as you would, you know, just a normal day.
Just a regular day. And and I was like, because, you know, we've when we first started the show, we were we did a couple episodes on some of the chapters in that book. And we got to like a couple of them. We were like, I don't even understand what he's saying right now, you know? And I was like, I wonder if we can understand it a little bit more nowadays.
I'm almost certain that we can at least understand 50% more than we did when we tried back in the day.
For sure, yeah.
I mean, I think we did an okay job, you know, up until the point that we got. And once we got to a certain point, it was like, okay, we clearly just weren't ready yet.
Right. And so I was flipping through the pages and I was thinking, oh, that's cool. There's one on like sacred minerals and other sacred geometry and stuff like that. And then I saw something that was the Orphic Egg, and I was like, I've seen this symbol before. I've heard of it. I've read about it, but I don't really know the deeply entrenched symbolism because, and for anybody who doesn't know, it is it is an egg that has a snake wrapped around it. You've seen that symbol before, and probably many of different ways, to be honest, you know,
or even the staff. I mean, I know this isn't the same symbol, but the staff with the serpent wrapped around it. There's something really deeply entrenched with the concept of this serpent wrapping around something. But the
Right.
Orphic egg in general, I mean, it's gonna be interesting.
Well, that staff is the caduceus, and that's the medical caduceus, really.
Yeah.
And so there's always seems to be some kind of snake, and I'm like, you know, we've done, I think we've touched on snake symbolism and stuff like that. Today, I think it's going to bring it full circle, as far as what the snake could symbolize across all different snake symbolism, but especially within the Orphic egg snake symbolism as well. And it's going to get you excited in your chonies. Okay.
Oh, man. All right, man. I'm feeling the tingle already. Take us there, man.
All right. So imagine before the universe existed, there was silence. No stars, no planets, no light, only darkness and infinite potential. Out of this void floated a single shining egg, the container of all that ever was and all that ever would be. When it cracked, light burst forth and creation itself was born. This is the story of the Orphic Egg, a symbol that has traveled through time, mystery schools, and esoteric teachings to represent not just the origin of the cosmos, but also the awakening of the soul within you. Today, we'll dive into this deep ancient mystery, the myths, the meanings, and the mystical parallels hidden inside the shell of the cosmic egg.
All right.
All right. You excited for this?
Oh, man, you know I am.
Okay, so before we do that, I want to show the actual picture in the book. And I took a picture. This is my own picture right here that I took of the book of the cosmic egg out of the secret teachings. And it just says it right here, and this is going to make you excited. All right, the meaning of the Orphic egg, according to Manly P. Hall and everything that he was able to gather.
All right.
So the Orphic egg, it says the ancient symbol of the Orphic mysteries was the serpent entwined egg, which signified cosmos as encircled by the fiery creative spirit. The egg also represents the soul of the philosopher. So the egg represents the soul of the philosopher, right?
Okay.
The serpent represents the mysteries. Isn't that interesting?
All right. Okay.
It says at the time of initiation, the shell is broken and man emerges from the embryonic state of physical existence, wherein he had remained through the fetal period of philosophic regeneration.
Regeneration.
All right.
All right.
This is a like a reborn kind of situation going on here. That essentially what they're saying here with this, at least what the Orphics used to say, is that until that snake wraps itself so hard around the egg that is you are a child. I mean, not a literal, human child, but a child as far as your understanding of the cosmos and in existence in general. And once that egg starts to crack, then what is born is now you initiated on the other side, understanding the mysteries to a greater extent.
Or could it be not even just understanding it, but just looking into it and really trying to figure it out? You know what I mean? You're not within the egg, stuck in your way, stuck in how you think things are. And then when it cracks and you come out, now you're starting to really look into how things really are,
Yeah, so
I mean, just in my interpretation.
For example, and just to take this a little bit farther, as far as the here, let me stop sharing now real quick. As far as the what was it called? The shit. Well, I just had a thought and I totally lost it. Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go. So as far as the even like the Freemasons, for example, okay. So you have 33 degrees of Freemasonry. Not all forms of Freemasonry. They have Scottish Rite and a bunch of different types, of different types, right? But within the Freemasonry that everybody is, aware of, you have 33 levels to it, right? And that's why they say the highest you can go is a 33rd degree Mason. Well, the symbolism of 33 is interesting, right? Because you got 33 vertebrae to the human spine. Jesus lived till he was 33.
Or 34. That's kind of like of debate, I think. But anyway.
Yeah, maybe 33.3 or something. Who knows? But also what happens at 33 is that ice melts to water at 33 degrees.
Yeah.
right? Because it's a solid form at 32 or up to 32. And then the 33rd degree, you're no longer frozen in time. You're no longer stuck in that Orphic egg.
You're more
the egg
fluid.
starts to break. The ice starts to break at that point, right? And so just symbolically, 33 is hugely symbolically.
Yeah.
Hugely symbolically. It's big. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
So, all right. So I just wanted to show that picture, and also wanted to give a little shout out to our boy Ronnie Pontiac. We don't, I believe, just a few days ago we released a throwback episode, and we didn't want to, but scheduling and all that kind of stuff, and we were like, all right, if it's going to be a throwback episode, we got to do the Ronnie Pontiac episode because that guy was on something. Especially being the understudy of Manly P. Hall. Like nobody else nobody else in history could ever say that.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I still can't even believe we got him on the show. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, he was awesome and had great hair.
Oh yeah. Amazing.
So yeah, that's the Orphic Egg. Now we're going to get into a little bit more Orphism, ultimately, where the Orphic Egg comes from. Orphism is a mystical Greek tradition. So Orphism was an esoteric religious movement in ancient Greece, rooted in the teachings attributed to the mythical poet Orpheus. Unlike the popular Olympian religion of Zeus, Hera, and the rest, Orphism was concerned with the soul's journey, purification, and the eventual return to the divine. It had initiations, sacred hymns, and secret cosmologies that weren't for the masses, but for the seekers of hidden knowledge. Already you're like, all right, this is as mystery school as it gets, right?
That's right. Yep.
At the heart of Orphic myth is a creation story that doesn't begin with chaos ruled by Gaia and Uranus like Hesiod's theogony, but with a primordial egg. This is a striking departure from mainstream Greek thought. It immediately sets Orphism apart as a mystical current emphasizing unity, hidden potential, and the divine emanation, rather than brute force and divine conquest. The Orphic Egg is, in this sense, a teaching device. It doesn't just tell where we come from, but where the soul is destined to return. Like the mystery initiations themselves, the egg suggests a hidden truth waiting to be cracked open by the initiate's own spiritual awakening. I just love stuff like this. It's awesome.
Oh, dude. Seems familiar, though.
It do. So then we get to the birth of the cosmic egg. The cosmic egg, the Orphic Egg. There is, in doing research for this episode, I was shocked at the amount of egg symbolism all throughout history. And by the way, so there's been like a lot of UFO whistleblowers and stuff like that lately. Yeah. Right. And the most recent one was Jake Barber, who talked about, he himself was the helicopter pilot that picked up a egg UFO.
Oh, really?
So we're going to be getting into a little bit of that too, because could we be talking about the same thing? I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just saying maybe there's some symbolism there.
Oh, any chance we get to talk about aliens, dude? I know we don't even do it enough, but it's really the one thing that got me into really trying to look into what else is out there, what's going on, And so yeah, we got to get into aliens a little bit more, I think.
100%, yes. So, according to Orphic cosmogony, before the egg, there was Chronos, which was time, and Anake, which is necessity. These two eternal principles swirled in the darkness until, from their union, a silver cosmic egg emerged. The egg itself floated in chaos, a vessel of infinite potential. When it finally cracked, light bursted forth, and from within emerged Phanes. Phanes. I don't know if that's how you say it, but that's how it looks.
Seems right.
Phanes, which is the androgynous, radiant, firstborn god. Okay.
Oh, okay. Like the OG.
That's what it says. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So not necessarily literal in that sense, but just we'll understand it a little bit more the more we read.
All right.
So Phane's name means to bring light or to reveal. Which is interesting because I already know what the Christians are going to be saying about that. He's androgynous and he's a light bringer. You mean the
Lucifer,
devil
right?
or Lucifer or
Yeah.
Beelzebub, with the two fingers up and the two fingers down. Meanwhile, that dude, the Baphomet, the Baphomet that everybody's aware with the two fingers up and two
Yeah.
fingers down with the the horns and the boobs and everything. That wasn't even created until the 1800s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's not real.
Oh, okay. Well, I
People
didn't know that.
People are just like, see, that's Baphomet symbology. I'm like, bro, the Baphomet wasn't even like, yeah, the Baphomet name had been talked about, but that picture that you're referring to, not even close.
Nothing. Okay.
That is a cult. That is a cult Baphomet. That's not the same thing.
Right.
So anyway, I know that people are going to fight me over that, but that's fine. So anyway, Fane's name means to bring light or to reveal, which I find, just to not even go off topic again, but I find it so fascinating how people are like, oh, he's going to be revealing. He's going to shed light on something. He's going to illuminate. It's like
a bad thing.
And that's a bad thing. You want
Why, though?
you want to live in not understanding. Like, I'm sorry. Like, me personally, I have a thirst. Like, I have such a thirst to understand what we're doing here that I can't just be like, I'm blindly faithful. I will do as you. No, I can't accept that. Like, if there is a way to try and understand. Now, I mean, we all, of course, a lot of this information, it's contemplation. That's all it is. And which is, it's the belly of philosophy is contemplation, I would say, right?
Yeah, and I think the only real danger of it, if at all, is you could probably spiral at some point. I'm sure the mind is very powerful, and so it could take you to a place of, maybe you feel like you're losing your mind because you're just constantly absorbing more and more, and you don't really know when to stop the spinning, but I don't know. I'm right there with you, man. I feel like if there's something that I don't know, I want to know. And we come across a lot of things that maybe we'll never know, but I still can't help but ponder.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that I feel like you can get lost in just about any realm of thought, really. Think about Pythagoras. He had a number cult. He was just obsessed with numbers and a bunch of orgies and crazy stuff. But and that's actually, the Orphics were actually heavy into orgies as well, but we're not going to go there.
Right.
Because I don't believe in throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I think that there's good information even in the darkest corners of every back alley. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Let's keep going because I just wanted to throw that out there that people are so quick to assume that something is demonic or evil just whenever they see such terms as light bringer or light bearer or knowledge bringer or Sophia. Right. And meanwhile, all these things are just trying to distill wisdom and understanding to you. And somehow that's a bad thing. I just never understood that.
Ultimately, it's just something different. You know what I mean? That's that's really why it's bad, in their eyes, I think.
Right. So your boy Fanes, his name meant to bring light or to reveal. He was crowned, winged, radiant, and carried the scepter of authority. He was the ordering principle of the cosmos, the divine light that transforms chaos into creation. This story reflects a deep symbolic truth. Before any manifestation, before any thought, before any quote-unquote you, there is potential waiting to emerge. The breaking of the egg is the birth of consciousness itself. It mirrors both the creation of the universe and the spark of awareness awakening within the human being.
There it is. Yep.
That's evil, though,
It's in all of us.
I'm
already.
sorry. I got to dig sometimes. I got to dig. So Fanes the Firstborn. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sure I'm not. But Fanes is a fascinating figure, often conflated with Eros, which is love, or even Dionysus in later Orphic traditions. Dionysus, I believe, was the wine god.
Oh, okay.
I think so. We haven't really touched on too much Greek and stuff
Even
like
if
that.
we did, I have a hard time remembering all of these entities,
Yeah, I just know Dionysus because that's like for Mardi Gras. A lot of people have Dionysus floats, and Mardi Gras, you're getting drunk, so people know that one. So like the wine or the liquor god or something. So, as the being who emerges from the cosmic egg, Phanes represents the very first differentiation, light from dark, unity into multiplicity. Depictions of Phanes often show him surrounded by the zodiac wheel, emphasizing his role as the ordering force of time and cosmic harmony. His androgyny reflects unity before division, a being who contains both masculine and feminine, night and day, spirit and matter. Through Phanes, the gods themselves are born. Zeus later swallows Phanes to absorb his creative power, then recreates the world. Holy shit, that's crazy, right?
I never heard that before.
That's my first time hearing that one too. Yeah. So the message is clear. Phanes is not just the light of creation, but the very principle of divine intelligence that permeates all. Without him, nothing could exist, and through him, all things are revealed. So you see, like, through all of theology, there is always a main creator being who nobody could ever be like, and everything from him comes creation. This is a philosophical understanding. Nobody believes that Zeus is a real god, okay?
Well, some people do, I'm sure, but...
But even back in the Greek times, these were symbols. And I believe the same thing goes for Egypt. I could be wrong, but I just believe that the Egyptians, the Greeks, everybody knew that these things were just representatives to try and describe something, not
try
necessarily
to understand something.
Yeah, not necessarily a physical being. Like even the same within Hinduism. Like these people, I don't believe are like believing that Shiva is an actual deity in the sky. You know, they understand the symbolism behind what Shiva represents.
Right. Rather, it's more so just the creation and destruction of just this natural, eternal world we seem to be in. You know? Right.
And you can meditate upon the spirit or the essence of said deity or whatever, right?
Yep.
And you can even try and connect with that spirit in a sense. But to say that these were beings that walked on Earth, do I believe that literally Zeus plucked out his own eye in order to have access to all the wisdom, which ultimately led to him finding all the runes and stuff like that? No, I really don't. But I love the symbolism behind it. I love everything. It is encoded into the story. People get so stuck in, was this real or is this mythical? Because if it's mythical, then I'm not going to listen to it. I'm like, no, the myth is what you should be listening to try and understand what they're trying to say, because it's encoded through story. That is what myth is.
Right. And I think when it comes to myth, when you have to almost already believe it in order to start really seeing it and feeling it, you know what I mean, internally. And so that's when it gets a little bit complicated. Anything that you really look into and you really want to believe it, you can really trick yourself into believing it, for sure.
But even whenever you believe it, you know, what you're basically what's going on, and this is just my understanding. I'm not the knower of everything. Obviously, we will never confuse ourselves as teachers by any means.
We will forever be students, my dude.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think that what is going on with that is that it's all just meant to be symbolic. That even if you are somebody that believes without a shadow of a doubt the literal interpretation of these things, what that is doing is that is speaking that knowledge and understanding and that vibration to every single one of your cells, right? And every single one of your cells will now believe in Zeus, will now believe in Jesus, will now believe in name your deity, Mithras, whatever, right? And you're just trying to essentially resonate with that frequency of that belief of that character, right?
Yes.
So your mind thinks that it's absolutely real. It must be real. Zeus is up there. He's throwing down lightning bolts, right? Meanwhile, the rest of your body doesn't really care if you're being literal or not. It believes it, so it's reacting with it in that sense, I think, is what's going on.
I love that explanation, actually. That was good. That was great.
Thank you, sir. And I could be wrong. That's just my own understanding of it. That being said, the egg as a symbol of unity. The egg itself is one of the most ancient symbols of unity and potential. Before it cracks, it holds everything together in wholeness: the yolk, the white, and the shell. It's a single container of multiplicity. This reflects the idea of the pleroma, or fullness, that Gnostics later taught. So that's like the fullness of God was the pleroma before, if you want to put a Big Bang spin to it or whatever, before the Big Bang, there was just the tiny little atom.
Or whatever you want to call it.
Right. It's the whole egg, all of everything, condensed in one thing.
Will be. Right.
Yeah. So that would be the pleroma that the Gnostics talked about.
Okay.
Which would be the undivided totality of divine before being fractured into matter.
Okay.
There we go.
Yep.
So the cracking of the egg is not a tragedy, but a necessary process of manifestation. To create, the one must become many. God, I love this stuff.
It's cool.
It's like spiritually poetic. You know?
It speaks to me, dude.
It do. So the egg, the Orphic egg, therefore, is not just a story of beginnings, but a timeless truth that wholeness exists before fragmentation, and that every act of creation is a breaking, a release of hidden potential into the world. This applies to the cosmos, to human birth, and to every moment of spiritual realization.
Damn.
Let's go, baby.
It's deep, dude.
It is deep. So now there are cross-cultural parallels as well. That, you know, the Orphics weren't the only one that ever talked about eggs. It appears all throughout history, dude.
Yep.
So the Orphic egg isn't unique to Greece. Nearly every culture's creation myths include a quote-unquote cosmic egg. In Hinduism, it's the Brahmanda, the egg of Brahma, from which the universe emerged. In Egyptian lore, Ra hatches from a primordial egg laid in the waters of Nun, or Nun. In China, the universe was born from the cosmic egg that splits to form heaven and earth. The recurrence of this image across cultures points to an archetypal truth embedded deep in the human psyche. The egg is the most natural symbol of life and rebirth. To ancient peoples, it was the clearest metaphor for how life emerges from hidden potential. This universality, damn, I can't say that word. Universality. There we go. This universality also shows that the Orphic egg isn't just Greek, but part of a global spiritual memory, a symbol humanity instinctively reaches for when trying to describe the indescribable moment when nothing became something. So
I've been thinking about this a lot as far as a beginning, or if there even was a beginning, and I'm really leaning, and I think you've mentioned it before, but I am kind of leaning towards the fact that it just kind of always has been, you know, like just this infinite regress, if you will.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't mean that, you know, whenever I say that in my own mind, because I was thinking about this earlier today too. I don't know if that necessarily, if that we're trying to describe physicality, you know, the physical world, because they say that the physical material world is actually emerging from consciousness, not the other way around. So that means that consciousness came before anything material, anything physical, right? And this is something that scientists are actually really getting behind nowadays, that the physical world emerges from consciousness. There isn't, and this is backwards compared to what most people think.
Yeah.
They think that because of physical material reality, consciousness comes secondary. You know, it's like first there was the dumb caveman, and now there's the intelligent scholar, right? But that's not necessarily exactly how it is. Consciousness wasn't something that just like evolved over time. It's that it's always been there, and as a matter of fact, it was there before even physical reality itself. So if you look at it from that angle, you can clearly see that before any physical reality, it was all just consciousness. If it was all just consciousness, some people might say that that's just God.
Right.
I
actually kind of get down with that. If we are to talk about a God, I would say that's probably it for me, you know, because I feel like it does transcend everything, and especially if it was here before, if there was a before physicality at all, I feel like, you know, consciousness was there before everything, you know, and it transcends. I feel like it's something that no matter what dimension, you know, or what level you're at, consciousness is consistent throughout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and especially like through a lot of religion, they'll say that God has always existed. There was never a beginning or an end to God, right? And we've talked about that.
Yeah.
But that God essentially not only created the world but created us. And I don't know if that's true, because if material world and the physical world is emergent from consciousness, then that means that our consciousness was created, if it was, unless it just always was, that our consciousness had to have been created before material reality. It had to have been. There is no other way, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think either way you look at it, then it's still kind of, in a sense, kicking the can down the road. You know what I mean? Like we don't have a full understanding of everything, and maybe we never will, just based on how long we live and how, how far research can really get. But I feel like, since we don't know how everything started, if it actually had a start, we would say, oh, it was God. Or now here we are saying it's consciousness, which I just get down with more, because it's just, I don't know. I guess I just like that better, but either way, I think it's still just kind of something to put into that place of, we just don't know.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
I agree. I would much rather say consciousness or the spirit in general rather than just saying God, because it's like, I don't know, it seems too convoluted, really. So anyhow, that being said, we're going to get into the next part, which is the egg in alchemy.
Oh,
So
all right.
let's get
I can
into
get down with some alchemy.
see where it goes there.
All right.
So, in Western esoteric tradition, the Orphic egg was adopted into alchemy as the philosophical egg. See what I'm saying? Like, there's eggs everywhere. So, the philosophical egg, this was both literal and symbolic. Alchemists often performed their experiments in sealed vessels called eggs, within which transformation occurred. But the deeper meaning was spiritual. The egg became the vessel of inner transformation, the alchemist's own soul, sealed within meditation and discipline until the inner light could be hatched. The cracking of the egg was the rebirth of the self into divine consciousness. Here, the Orphic egg moves from cosmogony to psychology. It becomes a tool not just for understanding the universe, but for transmuting the inner world of the initiate, cracking open their limited self and releasing the radiant being within.
The limited self. I like that.
It's true, isn't it, though?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you are afraid to look into certain things that might change, or not change, but kind of crack, what you already understand, or what you undoubtedly know to be true. It's like, you know what I mean? I think that's what we're talking about here.
Hey, dude, you got to crack a couple eggs to make an omelet. You know what I mean?
Dude. Oh yeah, for sure.
So there's also a Gnostic connection with this as well. So the Gnostics viewed the Orphic egg as a parallel to their own myths of the Pleroma and the fall of Sophia. In Gnostic cosmology, the divine realm is wholeness. The descent into matter is the fracturing, the cracking of the egg into multiplicity. But just as the cosmic egg contained the divine spark, Gnostics believe that each human being contains a piece of the divine trapped within the shell of the body. The goal of Gnosis is to quote-unquote hatch, to break free of the shell of ignorance and awaken into the fullness of the divine source. The Orphic egg, in a sense, is a symbol of the human condition, the divine spark hidden within flesh, waiting to break open and shine.
That's cool.
The Gnostics were always on some shit.
Yeah, dude. They always had a good way of putting shit,
Yeah, just taking a story and looking at it from, the what did it mean instead of taking it literal,
Yeah, and I mean, if you wanted to take it literal, I mean, you could also look at the fact that, like, we all start in an egg, and that's where we are within the womb, and then we come out, and now we're alive, and we see the light, we're here now, and so that's when the universe started for us,
Yeah, and I think that it probably started with that same light. So for example, they say that at the moment of conception, meaning the time that the sperm first, goes into the egg, right? That there is a burst of light. All right. And maybe that's the soul, maybe that's consciousness. I don't know what the hell it is. But it has to, it's
interesting.
If nothing less, it's deeply symbolic. If even just from looking at it from a philosophical point of view, that as soon as the sperm meets the egg, there's that burst of light. And what this is saying is that you are then born again once you are initiated into the esoteric mysteries, right? And so as you're that sperm and you go into that egg, right? And now there's a union, right? Well, that union, it's interesting because it says that what's his name was what was the name of that god? Phanes.
Phanes. Right.
So it says that he was androgynous, meaning that he was both male and female.
Yeah.
Well, up until the point, so you have the sperm going into the egg. I think it takes a little while to determine if it's going to be a boy or a girl. It's not instant, right?
Oh yeah, I'm actually not sure. I think I've heard something about that. Yeah, I don't know exactly in what stage it's already determined, but I want to say, I don't know. I thought I heard that it was like already, like as soon as it happens, it's already like determined. That or maybe what I heard is that it's determined from the male. You know what I mean? So
it may.
I don't know what I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I mean, look it up.
Yeah, that would be something interesting to look into, and I could be wrong. I don't know. But anyway, all right, let's get back to it. So then, we went the Gnostic route, and now we're going to go into the egg in Christian mysticism. So, maybe it's Rosicrucianism, which I would love to look into the Rosicrucians a little bit more in the future. Because they're definitely on some shit too.
Oh, real quick, I just looked it up, and the sex of the fetus is determined at the moment of fertilization, when the sperm cell. So as soon as it's fertilized is when it's already determined.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
So the sperm doesn't know if it's going to be a boy or a girl until it fertilizes the egg.
It's like it's the potential of both, I guess.
Wait, yeah, I think isn't it the woman that determines the sex though?
See, I always thought I heard it was the male, but I'm not sure. But yeah, but right at fertilization is when it's already determined.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. So all right, getting back over to it, the egg in Christian mysticism. Christianity too adopted the egg as a symbol, most famously with Easter eggs. The egg became a symbol of resurrection, new life, and the empty womb. While this is usually presented as folklore, it's actually a deep mystical continuity with Orphic and cosmic egg traditions. The cracking of the egg parallels the cracking of the tomb, which seems sealed and lifeless, suddenly burst forth with light and life. Sorry. So Christ becomes a kind of Phanes figure, the radiant firstborn of the dead who brings divine order and resurrection into the cosmos. Here we see that even traditions that claim to reject pagan myths ended up reusing their symbols, often unconsciously. The Orphic egg and the Easter egg are two sides of the same spiritual truth. Life bursts forth from death, and unity emerges from hiddenness.
And the cycle continues.
It do. It do. So then there's the psychological and the Jungian, Carl Jung interpretations. So Carl Jung and later psychologists interpreted the cosmic egg as a symbol of the self, the wholeness of the psyche before fragmentation. In dreams and myths, eggs often symbolize latent potential or the process of individuation, which would be the hatching of the true self. From this view, the Orphic egg isn't just a story of the universe, but a map of the human journey. Each of us carries an egg within, the potential self that must crack through the shell of the ego to emerge as radiant consciousness. Psychologically, the egg is the mystery of becoming. It represents growth, transformation, and the necessary cracking of the old in order for the new to be born. Every spiritual awakening is, in essence, the cracking of the Orphic egg within.
That's pretty fucking awesome, man. I could really resonate with that.
Dude, anybody that's ever had like surely if you're listening to this episode, you've had like a spiritual awakening of sorts.
You know what it
right?
is. Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. I used to be a full-on NPC. I could not have cared less about this stuff whenever I was like 24, 25 years old, It wasn't until that there was that little thing that cracked me open a little bit. You know, like
Mhm.
that first thing that made me go, "What the fuck was?
Wait
What
a
is
minute.
that?"
Right.
You know, and
Sending you on your endless search.
yeah, and I think that everybody has probably had a time like that. Maybe it happened through
Mhm.
synchronicities. Maybe it happened
Mhm.
through, maybe you got visited by an alien or an
Mhm.
God or an angel or Jesus or some kind of deity. Spoke to you in your dream, or maybe you experienced something crazy in meditation. Maybe you did
Mhm.
way too much DMT.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's
I
like
mean,
these.
it might not even just be something mystical like that. It could be just something in your physical world that just didn't line up, and you thought something was one way and oh shit. So it's like, all right, so now what else do I not know that I thought I knew, you know?
Yeah, and that was the thing for me. It started with conspiracies, which is why I have the cult of conspiracy, because I was
Mhm.
just obsessed with wrecking the paradigm of this reality that I thought was true, right?
Mhm.
Because I was like, if this is wrong, what else is, right?
Yep.
And I got
Mhm.
obsessed with learning about every conspiracy. I just wanted to keep on breaking that egg. Every single episode was my entire goal. It still is my goal.
Mhm.
Um, and then it became all right. the egg is the egg is smashed to pieces, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no more egg. It is
It's
fully
unrecognizable.
exactly. I have formed a union with consciousness itself now, and and now I need to go deeper, which is how Meta Mysteries was created.
Right, right. Oh yeah, and you're starting to fractal at this point now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So speaking of fractal, the egg as a symbol of death and rebirth. So the egg is not only birth, but also death. The cracking of the shell represents the destruction of a container, the loss of a wholeness that can never be regained. But in that breaking, new life emerges. This dual symbolism makes the Orphic Egg a perfect emblem for the mystery schools. Initiates had to, in quotes, die before they die, undergo symbolic death in ritual in
Mm,
order to be reborn to a higher consciousness. The egg, as both tomb and womb, embodies this
mm.
paradox.
Wow. That was yeah, that's pretty spot on, man. When you do finally crack through that very thin, by the way, it's a very thin shell. The shell of an egg is super thin, so
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't take much. It's a small little thing that kind of bursts you through the veil, if you will.
Yeah, dude, and it's perfect. It actually,
Mhm.
like, it almost represents the veil itself,
That's it.
you
Yes,
know?
it's exactly what I was thinking.
And I thought that it was interesting too because it said that the cracking of the shell represents the destruction of a container. But then
Mhm.
you hear like, a few years ago, whenever Bob Lazar went on to Joe Rogan's show, and he goes,
Mhm.
"Yeah, I was looking into some files, and
Mhm.
I visited Sector 4 or S4, and
Yeah.
Element 1, whatever, 17, 18, whatever it was, and
Mhm.
but and all that was very interesting. But the most
Yeah.
interesting aspect about everything of what he was saying was that the government, whoever, believes that they are in contact with something up above, some aliens, I don't know. But
Mhm.
those aliens or those higher consciousness beings or whatever the fuck is outside of
Something of
humanity
intelligence, right.
called us containers,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah, that's
interesting
interesting. Yeah.
because if we're containers and that container can be cracked like a shell,
Yeah.
then that's pretty deeply symbolic with the Orphic
Yeah.
Egg at that point, right?
Oh, dude. Yeah, what are we containing, I mean, I've heard people say like, "Oh, soul containers," but I don't know. I really don't know.
I would say that is, you know what? I don't even necessarily know if I even like to use the word soul because it's more religious based, right?
Mhm.
And that's
Right.
why, I just like calling it consciousness, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I think that that is the the least like religious type of way. I don't,
Mhm.
not that I have anything super against religion. It's just, it's too organized. It doesn't allow you to think outside the box. You can't
Mhm.
question anything. And if you act
Yep.
outside of those lines, then there are repercussions. I don't believe in that. I
Mhm.
believe that, yes, we are containers, but
Mhm.
symbolically, we can crack out from this container.
Mhm.
Symbolically, the chicken eventually gets out of the egg.
Mhm.
And I
Right.
think that that's what represents, conscious awakening, would be that initiation of sorts, that initial cracking of the egg to allow the soul to emerge, or the spirit to emerge, the consciousness to emerge. Because you think about it, most people are not very conscious all day, right? And the goal is to be present. Meanwhile, most people aren't. And it takes practice. It's not something that like, oh, I'm present. My consciousness is now expanded. It's like, no, you got to remind yourself to stay present. Like that's how fleeting it is, right?
Yeah, but I feel like too, it can also be exhausting. Like I've had days, dude, where I just feel like I'm like constantly in that higher state of awareness, and it's just like that could be exhausting too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
sometimes I think it's good to what do they call it? Blue pill, or whatever, and kind of just enjoy some shit. And you don't always have to, but sometimes, man. I mean, it's nice though when you are in that state and you're just like really kind of trying to decode every little molecule and like, you know what I mean, trying to figure it out.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. I think that egg is always there as somewhat of a protective fallback option. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if we ever fully, emerge from the egg itself, just as long as there's a few cracks and a couple of holes for us to be able to peek out and know
Peek
that there's
through,
still
right?
something out there. I think that's plenty, really.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, I thought that it was funny how it said the egg as both tomb and womb embodies this paradox. So every ending, every death is also a beginning. This, the Orphic Egg reminds us that destruction is never final. It is the cracking that makes illumination possible. Which is interesting they say that too, because every ending is also a beginning. This is actually very representative throughout numerology as well, and it's the same thing even within tarot cards, right? Like a 10 is it's always the number 10 always represents the end of a journey, but then numerologically. 10 breaks down to 1, which is the beginning all over again. So it's the end and the beginning within 10 itself.
Yeah, the constant cycle of the journey, man.
Yes,
That's where we are.
So, and that's what they say God is. They say that if God was a number, he would be the number 10 because he would be the end and the beginning, the alpha and the omega, right? It makes sense at that point. And
I think
that,
my God would be an 11.
Well,
it's just one more.
Well, oh, that's what Aleister Crowley said too.
Oh, really?
Aleister Crowley actually said that he believed, and this is somebody who literally he wanted to be known as the most evil man to ever exist.
That was
right?
the goal, right?
And he said that 11 is the most evil number ever created.
Really?
Because it was basically saying that like I'm God plus one more. That's where
I didn't
he
even
went
know
with it.
about that.
Yeah, that's why whenever you said that, I was
shit.
like, hold on.
Wait a
hold
minute.
on.
Wait a minute. But all my synchronicities are 11-11. Oh shit! I'm on the
Damn.
wrong path already.
Damn.
Right, well,
so that's funny.
all we can do is pray for her.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because now we get into the 11th segment of this episode.
All right, perfect.
Which
Let's
is
do it.
the egg and modern science. So, interestingly, the Orphic egg can be seen as a metaphor for modern cosmology. The Big Bang describes the universe as having once been compressed into a singularity, an infinitely dense point that cracked open into expansion. The cosmic egg, therefore, foreshadows scientific insight by thousands of years. Ancient mystics intuited that all things must emerge from unity, from a contained potential. The moment of cracking reflects both myth and physics, as the universe expanding into time and space. This doesn't mean Orphism predicted modern science, but it shows how myth and science often circle the same mysteries using different languages, one poetic, one mathematical, but both pointing to the same truth.
They're both trying to figure out the same fucking thing, dude.
Dude.
And I like how because I guess I used to think as far as like whenever it came to the Big Bang that there was nothing, and then all of a sudden everything kind of came out of that. But that's not even what it's saying. It's saying that it was all everything that was still in this one thing, and so there was never a nothing because you can't have nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. That everything was all contained into the pinpoint of something.
If something. Right.
Which, yeah, and that actually perfectly parallels what we're going to be talking about today. Moving forward as far as the UFOs as well.
Oh, right.
So now we're going to get into the UFOs, of the symbology of the egg-shaped craft that people have been talking about literally for over 100 years. And the newest one, as I said, about Jake Barber, and we actually got a clip that we're going to show of him describing what he felt during the experience of not only with the egg-shaped craft, but something else that he called the basically an octagon or an eight-gon. He called it an eight-gon craft, but that would just be an octagon. I don't know why he said it that way, but but before we do, we're going to get into how does this egg tie into the egg-shaped UFOs. So there are symbolic parallels. So the cosmic egg in Orphism is a vessel of creation. It carries life, light, and divine potential across the void. Already right there sounds UFO, right? UFO-ish. So the egg-shaped UFOs in modern sightings are described as smooth, glowing, self-contained vessels that seem to bend space, time, and physics around them. Both are containers of mystery, representing wholeness and the idea of hidden life within. It's no wonder experiencers often describe them as alive, womb-like, and consciousness-filled rather than just mechanical ships.
Right. Biological almost, just life itself.
Right. And then there's the womb of transformation. So in esoteric thought, the egg isn't just about beginnings, it's about initiation. You go into the egg, undergo transformation, and come out reborn. Many UFO abductees describe the inside of the craft as sterile, white, womb-like, or egg-shaped rooms where they undergo procedures or visionary downloads. That imagery is nearly identical to the Orphic Egg's role as the place of death, rebirth, transformation. So in that sense, egg-shaped UFOs may symbolically or literally act as cosmic wombs, vessels through which consciousness is altered or, in quotes, hatched into a new state.
Reborn, dude.
Let's go.
Sign me up, man. I'm down. I just want to see what that's about.
Beam me
even
up.
if it's a praying mantis, I don't care. You know what I mean? I want to see what that's like. At this point, dude, let's do it.
I'm willing to take a probe up the ass to see what's going on here.
They're professionals about it.
I
think, at this point.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be messing around. They're probably doing it for a reason,
Oh, yeah, with purpose, of course. Yeah.
Look, I'll just say this to the mantises out there. If you're just looking for a stool sample, you don't need to hike, your antennas or whatever up my butt. Okay, right. I can just shit for you. I can just do that.
Dude. Just give me a cup, whatever.
Yeah. Instead, they're like treating us like puppies, where they get the little fecal sample with the needle looking thing. Yeah, right.
They get all grabby. Yeah, dude.
I'm like, calm down. All right, I'm not into that. So anyhow, the vehicles of the gods. This is interesting. So in Hindu mythology, the cosmic egg, which we talked about earlier, Brahmanda, gave birth to Brahma, but also later became associated with Vimanas, which means flying crafts of the gods. So if Phanes is the radiant light emerging from the egg, then UFOs could be modern manifestations of that archetype, containers carrying luminous beings of intelligence. So the Gnostics would say, perhaps what we call UFOs are archonic or divine emissaries that descend in egg-shaped vessels because the egg is the archetype of the cosmic transport, the universal blueprint for carrying life and light across realms.
Wow. Dude, these things have been seen for forever. You know what I mean? Because there was one point where I was thinking, like, well, maybe just the thought of aliens and UFOs was kind of eventually just evolved, But I mean, like Nick was saying, like, explain all the cave paintings of, seemingly UFOs or orbs flying in the sky. It's like, this is just something that's natural. It's always been.
And one of the most ancient paintings of Jesus, I'm going to try and see if I can find it later on.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
But it literally has an egg-shaped fucking UFO that is flying in the sky behind Jesus's head.
Yeah.
And you're like,
and it's not even like you could get confused with that in an angel or a depiction of an angel. That's not at all how they were depicted, you know. And so this
No.
is clearly something else.
I think so.
Like deliberate too. It's just like right there.
Oh, they're not even trying to hide it at that point.
Right, dude.
So and also, could it be so when we're talking about the egg crafts, could it be consciousness technology? So the Orphic Egg would be equal to the cosmos itself contained before expansion. UFOs often appear egg-like, seamless, with no visible engines, suggesting a technology based on consciousness and unity, not mechanics and fragmentation, which is interesting because anybody that's ever people have described what it was like to like fly a UFO, and that sounds kind of crazy, right? But even personally myself, I remember whenever I had my very first past life regression, and I had never heard of anything like this before. I actually thought at the end, I was like, man, is that kind of silly that I had an experience like that? But basically, in that first past life regression that I had, I stumbled across like these blue and red crystals, or green and red crystals rather, right? And I found that they had some sort of healing mechanism to them. So I built, like, for a lack of a better word, a Poke Center where you take your Pokemon and you heal them in there, right? That's what it reminded me of. And then we got attacked by like these pirates or something like that, and we had to find a land to where we wouldn't be attacked again. So I ended up building out of those crystals like a fucking spacecraft, right? And instead of there being a wheel or buttons or anything, I remember saying, oh yeah, it goes and it stops whenever I tell it to, essentially connecting, not even saying anything, telepathically connected to this craft, right? I had never heard anything like that before then. I mean, I had only just gotten into looking into aliens and stuff like that. I never heard of these crazy stories. But then you hear so many other people and their experiences of maybe going on to the craft or having another past life regression, or maybe it was some psychedelic experience or something like that, where they are having the experience of almost being one with the vessel that they're a part of. And you look at the egg, and it doesn't seem to be like something that would be built like a spaceship. You know what I'm saying? It's almost alive itself. And if it's alive itself, that almost just reminds you of like Avatar and the dragons and the horses and all that shit, right? To where you're just connected to them consciously, and your brains are synced together where you don't need to say, yeah, let's go. It's like as soon as you have that thought, yeah, you're going.
Right.
You know?
Yes. And that's perfect, because that's exactly the one frame of thought really that puts me into the understanding of the whole consciousness thing in general. You know what I mean? That is the one natural force that's under everything. You know, every experience that people have had, you know, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, of course, you know, but I feel like everybody that's had an experience with aliens, or I mean, even Nick, he literally communicates with them with his consciousness, and your consciousness and your vibration and everything has a lot to do with what you're able to see and experience. And so it's like this back and forth communication of sorts, dude, you know, and it's natural seemingly.
Well, and
you know, like,
and what's also interesting about it is that whenever that egg does crack, right, and you realize, oh my God, I'm not this body, I'm actually something even greater, I'm actually the consciousness. Now, if you look at it from that angle, from that higher self perspective, you are communicating telepathically with your body. You see what I'm saying, though? Like, it's like
you're able to dip into the unlimited potential, because you're not Jonathan. You are capable of being whatever the fuck.
Exactly.
Point, you know what I mean?
I mean,
it's all there.
This human body is like, you know, Avatar connecting its tail to the dragon or whatever, or the seahorse or whatever the fuck it was, you know, connected to. It's like, you know, whenever you're able to separate you from what you thought was yourself, now there are two entities, and you can control the lower physical one, right? At that point. And so now you're not necessarily succumbing to, you know, the material reality of everything that a human wants to do anymore. because
Right.
now you control that human. That
Yes.
human is in your control, and you're guiding the human at that point.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and everything that you thought you were was the substance within the shell. You know, like the ego driven, like this is what I know to be me, and then that cracks,
yeah,
and now you're just connected to what's outside of that.
and now
You
you're just
know what I
like,
mean?
here I am.
Yeah, dude.
Man, it's just like, yeah, whenever you discover that you are the essence of life itself, that you're not strictly contained to this container or this vessel, but you're just in control of this vessel,
Right.
dude. That's like that is the cracking of the egg.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Man, I feel like we just really got deep right there.
Sometimes we do that, you know.
Philosophical up in this biatch. So therefore, the egg shape may be the most efficient. Oh, check this out. So the egg shape may be the most efficient geometric vessel for containing and projecting energy, resonating with the idea of the holographic womb of reality. So
That's interesting.
there is a fascinating tie with the cosmic egg, the Orphic egg, and the alien egg shaped UFOs.
UFO craft, right?
That in ancient myth, the egg is the vessel of divine light, and in modern UFO lore, the egg is the vessel of otherworldly intelligence. So I was like, all right, how many times has there been documented UFO egg-shaped craft in the world? How many times has it been documented? Turns out it has been documented at least 9 times.
9 times.
At least 9 times have people had an experience with an egg UFO craft.
I thought it would be way more than that.
These are just the ones that are documented.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's,
Right.
you know,
It's
a
like
lot
9.
of times they go undocumented, I'm sure. But these are the ones that are written down, talked about, and, you know, like deeply described. So the first one actually happened in, when was it? There were actually 3, in 1957. 3 in the same year, in 1957. One was in Texas. The next one was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so those could have been the same thing. They're right next to each other.
Yeah.
But then what gets interesting is that you have, you know, the South United States, the Southwest United States, and then it dips down to Brazil.
Oh.
And also in 1957, or it came up from Brazil, either way.
Oh, same year.
I don't know if it's the same craft, but all 3 were in the same year.
Interesting.
So it's one of them was in Levelland, Texas. So it says multiple witnesses reported a brilliantly lit egg-shaped object, some up to 100 feet long, sitting on the road, causing their vehicles to stall out before flying off and restoring engine function. It's one of the most compelling mass sighting cases on record.
Wow. Can you imagine seeing something like that in 57? You know, I mean, everybody's driving carbureted cars and shit, and like you're lucky if it started for you in the morning, and then you just see this brilliantly lit egg-shaped thing in the middle of the road. Like, that would be a trip, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to see. Was this around the same time of Betty and Barney Hill? This is actually before Betty and Barney Hill.
Okay, because they were like in the 60s, right?
In 61, yeah.
Okay.
So this was 4 years before Betty and Barney Hill, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, that was the Texas case in 1957. The next one, you have the Kirtland AFB sighting in Albuquerque, New Mexico in 1957. It says civil aeronautic controllers observed a vertically elongated egg-shaped object, 15 to 20 feet tall. Oh, so the other one was 100 feet long. It didn't say how tall. This one says 15 to 20 feet tall. It doesn't say how long. But anyway, it was an egg-shaped object with a single light at its base hovering over the runway, later tracked on radar, following aircraft before vanishing.
Oh.
So it was, and that's what's crazy about this. These are either mass sightings or government sightings. So that's why they're so documented in that sense.
Yeah.
So
and back then, the technology that we had, at least to our knowledge, was not anything of that.
Well, and that's the thing, is that it follows aircraft before vanishing. So this still tracks with my understanding as far as all these things go, personally. I believe that every single UFO, every single real UFO story,
Physical, you mean?
physical,
What do you mean real?
physical, yeah,
Okay.
we'll say physical. Every
Okay.
single, in quotes, physical, because I believe that they can probably dematerialize,
Of course.
or vanish somehow.
Right.
They all seem like they are traveling interdimensionally.
Mhm.
That they're not necessarily coming from billions of light years away in this physical reality. Could it be, and I'm not saying that it's impossible, I think it's just more and most likely that they are interdimensionally traveling to where maybe they're not coming from, star system 869, 4 billion light years away. Could they just be traveling from not another where, but another when?
Right.
As Stephen Greer says, and could they just be traveling from, I don't know, 6-dimensional Earth reality and then lowering their frequency to be able to show up in the 3rd dimension where we see?
Right. Yeah, that just makes the most sense. If you want to go into the physics of it, it just doesn't make sense that they could travel that far, and get here. But because to our perception, that's what it looks like. It definitely looks like they're just kind of fading into our perception, not like arriving.
Yeah, and even physics can't explain it. And that's why it's having such a hard time with all this UFO stuff because, for example, even I believe they said the Tic Tac UFO that was back in like 2003 or something like that, 2004. They said
you can't
even
watch a UFO documentary without seeing that black and white footage.
Exactly. They say even that one was traveling at like Mach 80. So
my God. Mach 80.
the fastest that a human has ever gone in like a fighter jet, right, is like Mach 9.
Right.
So
Which
it's
is moving.
That you're hauling, dude, you are going faster than the speed of sound.
Oh, yeah.
These are, 10 times faster?
Right.
At minimum?
Wow.
It's like,
what does sound even do at that point? But if they're not even actually moving through our physical space, then air and all that has nothing to do with it. So there are no bounds to how fast it can go, I'm sure.
Right. And I mean, there seems to be no, like they seem to be operating
Physical.
within like zero gravity as well.
Right.
So there's
signs
no
of propulsion.
Propulsion, that was the word I was looking for. I couldn't think of it.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But yeah, there's no propulsion. There seems to be like no heat signature even coming off of them.
So fascinating, dude. It's so fun to look into that kind of stuff, man.
Like, I'm sorry, I can't look at that and I can't look at that and say
like, probably nothing.
All there is life, death, and taxes. You know what I mean? It's like, no, there's way more than that.
Right.
So yeah, that was the Albuquerque one. The next one was the Brazil. I don't know which order these ones came in. But the Brazil one is the Antonio Villas Boas abduction. So Antonio described a hovering craft, roughly circular or egg-shaped, with a red light and a dome that landed in a field. After his tractor stalled, he fled on foot, and he later reported being abducted.
See, this is a little more fascinating when it comes to the abductions, because I don't know. When I start to think about that, I'm like, how is that even possible? How can you be abducted by something that's immaterial in a sense? At least to us, it would have to be, right?
Well,
because if they're able to move from through air, through I don't know, numbers of galaxies to get to us, seemingly bending space and time around them, and then they just kind of materialize because they're now in our dimension. Like how do they then interact with anything physical? I can understand, electronics fucking up and shit like that. Like my imagination will definitely allow me to go there, but physically taking somebody like that, I'm interested in.
Well, and there's many, many, many different reports of missing time, and Chris Bledsoe is one of the main ones, right? And because, I mean, he thought that time, he thought that he was only gone for 15 minutes whenever he was abducted in those woods, 15, 20 minutes.
They went looking for him, so he was gone.
Dude, he was gone for hours.
Right.
And there were, 4 or 5 other people that were there with him, including his son. And he goes, yeah, I thought that I was only gone 15, 20 minutes. Turns out he was gone for hours. So
Right.
there was some kind of sense of abduction and time not acting linearly as he remembered it,
Right.
or he had his mind erased or something. But I'm still trying to get him on the damn show. He is a busy man.
Yeah, it happens.
I read the
It
book though. I
happens.
highly recommend everybody go out and read UFO of God.
Yeah, it's super fascinating. His son too, though, was missing, right? Like he also had missing time along with him.
His son
Or
was
oh no, he was just like stabilized in one location, right?
he was
Like they
frozen.
just frozen. All right,
Yeah.
right, okay.
Yeah.
And they couldn't find him either, right? 'Cause
No,
would've
they
found
couldn't.
him. Right.
Nope, not at all.
Some cloaking technology, maybe, who knows?
I think that they're I think they can just fucking like pause time, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I mean,
saying?
if they
Like-
can bend space and time, I'm sure they can bend the environment around an individual and make it appear that they are not even there.
Yeah.
That's easy shit.
I mean,
Ain't
they're
nothing.
they're existing in another dimension, like without physicality.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's like,
dude.
what is time to a non-corporeal being?
Right. Exactly, dude.
So it's just crazy. But anyway, the next one. So you had the 3 and 57. Then you had the next one. These are all egg-shaped crafts. Was called the Socorro with Lonnie Zamora in New Mexico. A lot of shit going on in New Mexico.
Yeah. Dude.
This was in 1964, and this was a police officer. So police officer Lonnie Zamora investigated a strange craft and described it as egg-shaped, shimmering metallic, and hovering close to the ground before ascending with roaring flames and leaving scorch marks and landing depressions behind. That's different.
This is different. Yeah.
So
Okay.
this case remains one of the most well-documented and unexplained UFO incidents in the United States.
Yeah, I don't know. Whenever it comes to the more physical ones, that leave some sort of evidence behind or propulsion and things of that nature, I'm like, I don't know. That's when I start to think like some government shit and like there's just some weird shit going on, and the government's fucking with people. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That one seems like if we're trying to find like, one of these things is not like the other, like it's that one.
Definitely the one. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go to the next one, which was, I'm trying to do these in order because they're not in order. The next one was Area 51. Okay. Area 51 whistleblower claim. So this is in the 1980s. A former contractor claimed that a metallic egg-shaped UFO, roughly the size of an SUV, was kept at a secretive facility known as Area 51 in the 1980s. Yeah. All right. Well, it doesn't describe how it was taken off or anything. What do you think about Area 51?
To be honest, like if you would have asked me this 2 years ago before we even started this show, when I was only just in the understanding that like, yeah, of course there has to be aliens, I used to think that they were more of the physical, and not that they aren't within their own reality. Within their own reality, I'm sure they interact maybe physically, but I feel like it's all the more physical things are kind of just government shit, Like I feel like if an alien can get over here and make it over to us from wherever the fuck they came from or whenever they came from, I feel like they wouldn't be captured. I just don't feel, it just doesn't make sense to me that there would be actual physical UFOs, if that makes sense.
Unless they
Something
wanted to be.
Yeah, but what's the point in that? What's just to leave something for us to go, oh, there's more to this. This isn't just the third dimension. There's more going on, and we'll just leave you this little breadcrumb. Like I that's what I pondered when it comes to that.
I mean, then you read The American Cosmic by Diana Pasulka, and she talked about how she went out in the desert of New Mexico, I think, also. And she was able to find this metal shit that was in the ground, and she called it metamaterial, where it was solid before she held it, and then as soon as she held it, it melted.
Right.
And then as soon as she would place it down, it would solidify again.
It would like reform or reshape, right?
And she says that those things are not remnants that are left behind accidentally. She believes that they're gifts from like other worlds and other beings.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they were to leave something behind, I feel like it would be intentional, only to get us to maybe evolve or to help us along technologically, I guess. But other than that, as far as like what they got going on at Area 51, I don't know. Like the whole guy, the one you were bringing up earlier, was it Bob Lazar?
Yeah.
You know, I'd have to think about that even further because I feel like I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't take it all like as truth. You know,
With a grain of
whenever
salt.
it comes to, yeah, exactly. Like it's interesting. Don't get me wrong. It's very fascinating the things that he says and how his story, you know, doesn't change and you know we can go on and on. But I feel like there's something that we just aren't seeing, and I just don't take it at full face value. You know,
Which is the
But
right way to look at it, I think.
yeah, but like to go back to your original question, as far as like, I 2 years ago I would have been like, of course, there's physical crafts. They can figure out how to get here. But now I'm just of the mindset that it's all consciousness based, and anything else is not it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as that metamaterial, I don't know.
I don't know either. I just brought it up because I was like, oh, maybe
I
it plays
wanna see it. I wanna hold it. You know, but I'm not sure what to make of it.
So, which one was that again? That was the New Mexico incident. The next, oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was also New Mexico, but that was Area 51. After that one, you had the 1983 incident in Indiana, Somerset, Indiana, where it says a witness, Debbie Jordan Cobble, I think that's how you say her name, observed a UFO roughly 8 to 10 feet tall, egg-shaped, during an unsettling experience in the woods.
They're getting smaller.
Seem to be.
The
yeah.
new models, you know, more aerodynamic, if you will.
The one after that was in 1988 in South Australia. So it says a family traveling across the Nullarbor Plain reported seeing a UFO that looked like a big glowing ball, like an egg in an egg cup. Interesting.
Okay.
And then finally, well, not finally, we have one more before we get to Jake Barber, but in 1998, oh God, this is in Mexico. It says a man and his children witnessed an oval egg-like object silently hovering in the sky about 450 meters away during a nighttime incident. These are just observations at that point. And then we're going to get to the main one, the main one that we wanted to talk about, which is Air Force pilot Jake Barber. He's this is the most recent whistleblower claim. This was earlier, I believe he came out in January of this year.
Oh, okay.
So it says recently an U.S. Air Force veteran alleged seeing a non-human egg-shaped craft with no engine or thermal signature while working on a UFO retrieval program. His claims are being investigated by the Pentagon currently, and these reports span continents and decades, weaving a strange but persistent narrative of the egg-shaped UFO in modern lore. Whether symbolic or physical, these shapes seem to echo ancient archetypes like the Orphic Egg, morphing across time into contemporary mystery. And so I was like, all right, could there be, could Jake Barber's egg UFO be interdimensional? And yeah, I think so. And actually,
it's interesting to me, real quick, not to cut you off, but I just didn't want to brush over it. They got a UFO retrieval system.
it's a program. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Okay.
So there's something I wanted to play right here. This is actually all right. So before we get to the video I wanted to play, this was an article that was written at the time that he whistleblew. About the egg shape. It's all right. So it says a former Air Force Special Operations airman told News Nation that he worked for a secret unit that retrieved debris that he believes was from crashed, unidentified flying objects. This is his quote. He goes, just visually looking at the object on the ground, you could tell that it was an extraordinary and anomalous. So Jake Barber, who said that he had worked in both official and unofficial capacities for the U.S. government, told the network it was not human. Barber told News Nation's Ross Coulthart that the object looked like a large white egg and was about the size of an SUV. The UFO, which the U.S. government now calls UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomena, had no engine and no thermal signature. He said, it's inconsistent with anything I'd ever seen before. I can also tell you that the reaction by my team, we all knew that we were dealing with something extraordinary. Barber said it was later confirmed to him that the object was a non-human intelligence, but he doesn't know what it was. He also said that he picked up what he called an 8-gon, which he described as a flying disc with what looked like 8 delineated sections. Barber described feeling odd and growing more emotional as he got closer to the 8-gon object, which we actually have a video of him speaking about that. It's like a minute long.
Okay.
He goes, it felt like something connected with me whenever he saw this 8-gon object. It felt like something connected with me. It felt like something had tuned into me and my soul and was providing me some sense of guidance on what to do and how profound what I was doing was. It was so overwhelming that I began to cry.
Wow. Instantly started to mess with his consciousness, you know?
Bro, that's what I'm saying. It's like
his emotional state and everything.
That's not human.
No.
Human shit is not doing that.
I was kind of hoping, and that shape that he found was pretty interesting, you know. But I wish he would have went into more detail as far as like the material. He said it's non-human, but like, why? Why do you say that? What is it about the material? What could you tell us about it? You know, if this thing crashed and broke open, you know, like what's inside? What, you know what I mean? Was there anything recognizable?
I'm happy you asked, sir, because we have a little minute and 39-second clip of him talking about it right now.
Awesome. All right, let's do it.
NewsNation has independently obtained previously unseen video obtained from a secret UAP craft retrieval program. This extraordinary footage clearly shows an egg-shaped object dangling in a sling below the belly of a helicopter. Let's slow this down to take a closer look. That's an egg-shaped UAP suspended from a 150-foot long line. We're told the craft is about 20 feet long. The egg suspended in a cradle. And look how careful the pilot is as they bring their precious cargo into land. Let's freeze frame here to look at one of the clearest images of a UAP ever taken. This is no blurry light in a distant sky. The source of the footage putting themselves at incredible risk to record this UAP retrieval. Look at how perfectly smooth the craft is. No markings at all, and no visible means of propulsion or way to see inside. Watch how it rolls, almost graceful as it hits the ground, despite being wrapped in the ropes and canvas from the cradle as it's dropped for pickup. The UAP's final destination still unknown.
Okay, so I thought that was going to be a video of him talking, but that was Ross Coulthart. He was the one that works for News Nation that broke the story about the whistleblower, Jake Barber.
Right. Yeah. And I was thinking like, you know, this is supposed to be a crashed UFO, you know, but he said that there was no marks or anything like that, unless this thing is like, you know, impenetrable or, you know, you can't do anything to harm the outside of it. You know, how do they know it was crashed? You know,
yeah,
or just left there. Probably no.
Yeah, seemingly more left there rather than crashed.
Right.
But this is actually a video of Jake Barber. He's being interviewed. I can't remember what his name is. Jesse Michaels, or Michelle's. I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but it's with Logan Paul and those people. But check this out. This is him. This is the bald guy right here with the glasses. That's Jake Barber. But you'll be able to hear what he's describing whenever he came in contact with. So he had the first contact with the egg, and then the 8-gon. The 8-gon craft is what he's describing in this video.
Okay.
Have you retrieved a non-human craft?
Yes, I have.
What's the story behind that?
On this particular night, I got my normal readout for the load. This time it included negative souls on board and a hazmat disclosure for biologics. As I'm flying and I get closer to this craft, I start having this very emotional experience. And the closer I got to the object, the more emotional I got. It was a beautiful feeling. Fuck, but it's so weird. It's like that minor chord as a kid, that sad beauty. I just felt like I was in the presence of my mother. It was like a feminine energy. I don't know what it was, but the closer I got, the more intense it got. I hooked up, and as I'm flying back, I'm like completely overwhelmed. Bawling my eyes out, flying a helicopter at night, like trying not to run into mountains and shit. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not good. As I get close, I make it there. I safely get it popped off. And then as I fly away, it goes away.
All right. So whenever I first saw that, I was hoping that he was talking about the egg, but he was talking about the egg gone. Either way,
right.
I thought that it was interesting that he said that he felt almost a motherly presence, which reminded me of the egg a little bit, if you think about it, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, to me, whenever he gets emotional, that just adds a little bit more validity.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, dude. I mean, he's flying a helicopter pilot or flying a helicopter, trying not to cry and shit, like seemingly out of nowhere. You know, it's unusual.
Right. So after hearing that story, I was like, all right, could the egg-shaped UFO be interdimensional? So there are some really crazy physics whenever it comes to this thing that have been released, or people that are, at least have been able to observe. So, and from, you know, how he described it and everything. So Barber described the craft as egg-shaped, metallic, no visible propulsion, no engine, and no thermal signature. Whenever he said that there was no souls, that's what he meant. No thermal signature, such as like no human souls on there.
Oh, okay.
So conventional flight requires exhaust, lift, or at least some measurable energy trail. This one had none. That strongly suggests that it wasn't moving through space the way that we understand, but instead bending or phasing around it. That's straight in line with interdimensional theories. Craft that can that manipulate space-time or hop between frequency states rather than pushing through air like jets.
Right. In that sense, the object itself isn't even moving. You know, everything else is moving around it.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. Okay.
So the egg itself is archetypally a container of potential worlds. This is where it gets wild, dude.
Okay.
So the Orphic Egg birthed the cosmos, right? Hindus, Brahmanda cracked into heaven and earth. In an esoteric lens, an egg-shaped UFO could represent a dimensional womb carrying reality inside of it, or allowing beings to pass from one realm into another. If the ship is literally shaped like the cosmic egg, which it was, maybe that's because it functions as a microcosmic pleroma, a whole little universe inside of a shell capable of stepping between dimensions.
Whoa, a whole nother universe.
And yeah, it's just wild. So then there are also eyewitness parallels, which we kind of talked about a little bit earlier. So many UFO experiencers describe the inside of a craft as larger than the outside. We've heard this plenty of times before, right? So it's a classic interdimensional clue. So some abductees report being pulled through the wall of the craft as if the material was less physical and more vibrational. And these accounts resonate with Barber's description of a craft with no heat, no propulsion. It's not behaving like a thing in our dimension alone. That points to it being interdimensional at that point.
Yeah. And, you know, I was just thinking about this. I did hear a story about an abduction where, because I was just saying, like, how can something physical be abducted by something that's kind of non-physical, you know? But in this abduction story, the guy that got the abductee actually claims that it seemed as though his frequency or his vibration, like his body, like vibrated differently to a higher frequency, and that's what made it possible. Because they just kind of put him through the wall, like they didn't bother opening the door. He kind of just phased through it, almost like his physicality was adjusted, you know, to even make that possible. So,
which
I mean, who knows, man? I don't know.
It makes sense at that point too, though, because especially if we tie in the whole red shift and blue shift, right? About how in order to meet them in the middle, we have to blue shift, they have to red shift, which means they have to lower their vibrational state, we have to higher our vibrational state, right? But what happens if they come all the way down? Right? So now they come all the way down, meaning we're not meeting them in the middle, meaning we're not raising our vibration in order to match their frequency so that it doesn't throw us all the way off. They're coming all the way down in that sense when our vibration isn't necessarily where it should be,
Right.
Right. And so that can make it probably crazy, like as far as being in that kind of frequency, being around that kind of frequency, it would probably throw you off a little bit, which is probably why Jake Barber had that experience. Right. Because he was he's a military guy working for the Air Force. He's just a fucking helicopter pilot. He's not expecting anything crazily spiritual at that moment. Right. But all of a sudden he comes in contact with this 8-gon in this egg-shaped craft, and it is bringing him like crazy stimulative like emotions,
right? Almost like there was no choice in the matter, like this was just necessary.
Right. So so I thought that was kind of interesting, but there is also a Gnostic and mystical angle to this. So if we borrow the Orphic Egg framework, maybe the egg-shaped UFO is a manifestation of the same archetype, a vessel cracking open to let divine or alien light spill into our dimension. Gnostics might say that the egg, in quotes, isn't a spaceship at all, but a living portal, an archonic or aeonic projection stepping down from higher planes into ours. So it is very plausible that the Jake Barber's egg-shaped UFO wasn't interplanetary in the usual sense, but interdimensional, a container that phases in and out of our space-time using the egg archetype as both geometry and spiritual symbolism.
Yep. That's great. And I don't know if you remember, but in my past life regression, that's what I was. I was just like this ball. I don't know if I was an egg or a sphere, but I felt spherical, and I was just made of light. And one of the things that you were asking me was like, well, why are you there? Because there was people around and I can see them. And I remember saying, like, the purpose of me even being here is to show the people that I'm here, that this is possible, that this is something that just is.
Yeah, to recognize
like maybe
that
that's what they're doing.
Well, just to show us that we can almost like be whole and we don't have to be so fragmented, because that consciousness, no matter who you come in contact with, could be fucking, mantis beings, could be Pleiadians, could be whatever, right? They always seem like they're not necessarily lacking anything. Like they got it together. You know what I mean? And could it be that they're just trying to show us what that looks like? I don't know. I mean, I'm just getting like real weird.
Who knows, dude? I think this is just one of those things, though, that puts me in that frame of mind, dude, that we don't know shit, dude. It's so much deeper than we could even imagine.
It's very vast. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I was like, all right, we just got done doing that sidereal astrology episode, and we found out that every 72 years, the Earth has a wobble that shifts the constellations 1 degree, right? Yep. And with that wobble, I thought, well, that just reminds me of what old Neil deGrasse Tyson said whenever he said that the Earth is less, globular and more pear-shaped.
Oblate spheroid, I believe, is the term. Yeah.
Yes. Oblate spheroid, he called it also pear-shaped, right?
Just a little wider at the hips.
She's a fat bottom girl, right?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So I was like, well, a pear kind of resembles the same shape of an egg.
Oh, right.
Okay. So if we're going to get real weird, let's take it all the way there.
Let's do it, man.
So there is the scientific shape of the Earth, as they say. The Earth is an oblate spheroid, slightly flattened at the poles and bulging at the equator due to its rotation. Even if you don't believe that the Earth is round, just follow me here for this, because it's going to be more symbolic than it is like physical, is what I'm trying to say. So beyond that, gravitational anomalies make Earth slightly pear-shaped. The southern hemisphere bulges a little bit more than the northern, so the quote-unquote center of mass is not perfectly even. It also wobbles with the precession, meaning that its axis traces a slow circle over 26,000 years. Some people like to call them the yugas.
Okay.
Right? And so if you exaggerate these features, the Earth really does look closer to an egg or a pear than a perfect ball. So then you get into the egg shape as an archetype. An egg is wider on one end and narrower on the other. Asymmetry within wholeness. Earth's pear bulge in the south echoes that. So from a symbolic point of view, the Earth as an egg makes sense. A womb of life. Ancient myths often describe the cosmos or Earth as an egg. as we talked about with the Hindu Brahmada and the Orphic Egg and the World Egg, etc. This means that the scientific quote-unquote pear shape can be seen as a modern echo of the cosmic egg archetype, Earth itself as a living Orphic egg containing humanity. So then I was like, all right, let's go a little bit farther into that. So this is going to get wild, but it all ties together.
All right.
So in energy healing traditions, the human aura is often described as an auric egg, an ovoid field surrounding the whole body. So Earth would be the macrocosm, may mirror the microcosm of your energetic egg field. So, dude, all right. The wobble of the Earth could be seen as Earth's hatching process. Cycles of ages. Remember I just talked about every 26,000 years, it does the whole precession, right? The slow circle over 26,000 years. The hatching process, therefore, would be the cycles of ages as like the yugas and astrological ages. So whether we're going into the age of Aquarius or we're coming from the age of Pisces or whatever, right? That there always seems to be a almost, I don't want to, just a cycle. There just seems to be a cycle, and that could be the slow hatching, right?
Right.
Where humanity periodically breaks through new shells of consciousness. And so some esoteric thinkers suggest that Earth's egg shape is not accidental, but essential. Listen to this, only an oval form can generate the right harmonics for rotation, magnetism, and life.
Holy shit. That's the egg, dude.
It's the fucking egg. We could be living in an egg right now. So it's an egg within an egg within an egg. So you got the human auric egg inside of the Earth egg shape, inside of the cosmic egg itself. It's like the fucking Russian dolls, bro.
Yeah, dude. Holy shit.
So,
As above, so below, man.
Dude, microcosm, macrocosm all day.
That's it.
So, yes, scientifically, Earth is closer to a pear than an egg, but symbolically, the distinction is small. Its asymmetry, wobble, and bulge fit right into the archetype of the cosmic egg, a container of life, perfectly imperfect, hatching cycles of creation.
Containers within a container.
Dude, it's wild, right?
That's neat.
Just for the symbolism
I
behind
never even would have looked at it that way. Yeah, I've heard of the Earth being the oblate spheroid and all that, and surely it's very, like, if you're in space looking at it, you probably wouldn't even notice. But as it said, if you make it more dramatic, then you would clearly see that shape.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Totally cool.
So and dude, there's all kind of like sacred geometry with the egg shape as well. And we're not going to be getting into that because that could take us down a whole nother hour at least.
Yeah, sacred geometry is something else, dude.
Oh, dude, it's crazy because the egg hatches from the sacred seed. So the sacred seed turns into the sacred egg, then turns into the flower and all this other shit. But yeah, so all right, now how do you put this into your own spiritual practice if you're trying to?
All right.
I was like, all right, we like to understand and learn about the philosophy and everything like that.
Let's apply it.
But how do you how does it put the lotion on its skin?
What do you do with it?
So for a modern seeker, the Orphic Egg can be a powerful meditation tool, visualizing the self as an egg, whole, unified, yet waiting to crack, can help one connect with the process of inner awakening. In meditation, imagine light glowing within an egg in your heart or your mind. Within each breath, the egg glows brighter until it cracks open and floods your being with radiant awareness. This simple visualization mirrors the Orphic mystery of Phanes, the light born within. So in ritual, the egg can symbolize rebirth, transformation, or preservation of divine potential. Placing an egg on an altar, painting it with symbols, or using it in seasonal rites echoes ancient practices while empowering the modern mystic. So, all right, if nothing else, just imagine, like it said in that meditation, which, by the way, we do have an egg meditation we're going to be meditating on tonight.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Yeah,
I would expect no less from you.
It's just, it has to.
Makes the most sense.
We have to go there because we're trying to crack that egg tonight, baby.
Indeed,
which,
man.
by the way, if you want to join us in that meditation, the only place to join us in that meditation would be at patreon.com/meta mysteries. That link's down in the show notes below. It's the best way to be able to support us. We appreciate all of the one who have done so already. We are a small cult so far, but we are trying to broaden our horizons and
Gathering.
Yes, we're gathering. Yes. So if you want to be able to support us, that would be the best way to do so. And over there, we have a couple of different tiers. If you just want to be able to get the shows a couple of days in advance, you want to be able to see all the video, you want to be able to see it all commercial free and slide into our DMs and ask us questions, show suggestions or guest suggestions or anything like that. You'll have direct access with us on a daily basis. That we have, that tier would only be $3.33 a month. That's like nothing.
Yep.
And then we have the higher tier, which would be all of that included with you being able to join us live every Wednesday night for Wonder Wiz Day. We usually have like an awesome guest, or we just like to get together and kind of like contemplate a little bit together. That being said, our next Wonder Wiz Day is actually going to be this upcoming Wednesday with your boy Optimistic Banks.
Yes, dude.
So
it's been a minute, man. Love that guy.
Yes, it's going to be awesome. And we actually have like guests scheduled like a month in advance right now. We're
loaded up.
We're trying to get as many guests as we can because it's just nice being able to see where everybody else is at on their journey and what they've discovered. Maybe it aligns with what we've discovered. And if it doesn't align, then it's like, all right, well, these are things that we never would have probably touched on, you know?
Right. I think it's necessary, because like we've said before, you can kind of get locked into our frame of thinking and just the research that we've come along and then someone else comes along with this whole different way of looking at it. And it's like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of that for myself,
Exactly. Exactly.
Egg. Yes.
You know what else I thought too was really cool was the Orphic Egg that was described in Secret Teachings of All Ages. Was that it said that the human is the egg, right? And that the snake represents the mysteries. And it's the mysteries that surround the human. And eventually that pressure is going to crack that egg, but it's the mysteries that are surrounding it. And I thought, holy shit, is that deeply symbolic with meta mysteries at that point.
Oh, dude. And just the egg and the serpent in general are both just very symbolic symbols, put together in one, man. It's funny because I just showed my son the Power Ranger movie, the old school one, with like the purple ooze. I forget exactly what that one is called, but basically when the bad guy comes, it's like this purple egg that like comes out of the ground, and it's like this hand holding a purple egg, and it's just like, okay, something to that, man.
Yeah,
you might want to look at that just because it's like, what?
Dude, I watched that movie so many times as a youngin that I ran out the tape and my parents had to buy me a new VHS of it.
Yeah, dude.
That was one of them.
The special effects definitely do not hold up, but it's still fun though, old school Power Rangers.
Dude, that's a classic though. R.I.P. to the White Ranger.
Yeah, dude.
Sad.
He went through it.
He did. So in closing, we are going to crack the shell of the cosmos. So the Orphic Egg is more than a myth. It's a timeless symbol of beginnings, of potential, and of great mystery of consciousness. From chaos and darkness emerged unity, then light, then creation. From the egg came Phanes, and from Phanes came all things. But the myth does not just belong to the cosmos. It belongs to you. Within you is the Orphic Egg, the hidden light, the spark of divine consciousness, sealed in the shell of the flesh, waiting to be born. The moment you seek gnosis, the moment you awaken, the shell begins to crack. So the next time you see an egg, don't just think of breakfast or Easter. Think of the cosmos. Think of creation. Think of your own soul waiting to break free. The Orphic Egg whispers to us across millennia. Within you lies the universe, waiting to hatch.
Dude. I mean, even Humpty Dumpty was put back together again, so.
Damn. I bet you there's something to that, actually.
Of course there is.
There has to be.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Nothing new under the sun. Man.
How did I not think of that one?
I don't know. It just came to me like right now, actually, like on the spot.
Well, what do we got for that tarot card, sir?
Oh, you know what? We got Judgment.
Really?
So, yeah. Actually, I pulled
Interesting.
2 of them, but the Judgment one was the one that came out first. So we could do both of them if you want, but I'd say we just do Judgment.
All right. Where is I think Judgment's towards
Which is
there
interesting,
we go.
because I think in the beginning when you were talking about the Fanes and all of that, it did say something about the wings, that it was given or that it spawned or, So, yeah, let's see what's
Oh,
going on with that.
wow. How about the upright meanings? So the meaning of the word judgment is awakening and acceptance.
Right. The cracking of that shell, dude.
Damn. So judgment serves as the ultimate release when we are accepting of the past and of ourselves as we follow the divine call to our spiritual awakening. Oh my God, dude. Come on.
Come on now.
You are ready for the next step in personal growth, accepting yourself and releasing the past. In the Judgment card, an angel in the sky blows a trumpet while people emerge from caskets, rejoicing as they heed the call. Emerge from caskets. Bro, come on now.
Oh, dude.
They're coming
I
out of
don't
the tomb.
Mhm.
You know, like,
Yeah.
this is wild. The artwork on this card references the biblical resurrection on Judgment Day. Overt Christian themes aside, what you see on this card is a depiction of answering the universe's signs that prompt a spiritual awakening. During the awakening process, you reflect on your life, choices, actions, and experiences. As you judge yourself, remember to have compassion for who you once were and release those judgments so you are able to move on from the past.
Dude. That's pretty spot on.
You know, it just never seems to amaze me how these just align perfectly.
I know, dude.
The spiritual message behind it says, put your energy toward noticing the signs from the universe so you can begin releasing yourself from self-criticism and judgment. This is the time to start accepting your spiritual gifts, moving on from past pain, and embracing a new period of spiritual awakening.
Signs from the universe, man. Being that cosmic egg, that's so universal and well known.
Wow. That is so amazing. I love that lined up the way that it did.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure if it was going to. I saw the wings and I was like, oh, we did say something about wings or whatever. But yeah, it lined up way better than I could have imagined.
Dude,
Which it usually actually always does, really.
Literally awakening? Come on now.
Right.
That's literally the cracking of the egg is the awakening. It's the illumination.
You're looking beyond the veil at this point, man.
Damn. Come on now. So yeah, I guess, I mean, what do you think about the Orphic Egg? You dig it?
It's awesome, dude. It's awesome. It looks like a cool tattoo in the making, is what I was thinking when I was looking at it before we started recording. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a cool tattoo. I like that. Yeah,
Might
so
raise some eyebrows, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's whatever.
But yeah, it is cool, man. The snake is always seen as, it's the evil serpent. But
Yeah.
in mystery schools and Gnosticism and literally everywhere else, the snake is always seen as the one that is essentially bringing the mystery, the wisdom, the Sophia. You know what I mean? Like it's always it's the light bearer.
Shedding the light, dude. Yep.
It's like it's so crazy how that is just. I mean, all across all cultures, they all say the same thing, and even within Christianity. The devil is known as the serpent, which is the light bearer,
Right.
Like,
Which always gets me, because like God made the serpent too, and he also knew exactly what was going to go down with that. It wasn't like, wait, what's going on over here? You're all knowing. What are you talking about?
bro.
You knew.
At that point,
Right?
God didn't make the serpent. He is the serpent.
Yes.
That's the real truth behind it, I
Yeah.
think. That, if it's all one thing, then he's the good guy, he's the bad guy, and everything in between. Just like you, just like me, just like everybody you've ever met. Nobody is perfect. Everybody has some light. Everybody has some dark. We're a perfect little mix of that
Creation
sense.
and destruction,
Which, even if you put it to a Neoplatonic view, it's like, yeah, we're the farthest from the light. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're the farthest from the original light source. That doesn't mean that that we're evil by any means. It's just that the light is farthest away. But even still, we're still in the light. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you're still a part of that source, of that divine essence, of that. You know what I mean? Like that I don't know what you want to call it, the universe, the source, God, whatever you want to call it. It really doesn't matter. And guess what? It probably doesn't care what you call it.
That's
so
right.
that's the real,
right.
I mean, I think that's the real shit right
news.
there.
Right.
Yeah, that's the good. That's the good news. So yeah, with that being said, we are going to jump into the meditation. But if you want, if you're just listening to this on the Cult of Conspiracy podcast or on Meta Mysteries, you're listening to it on YouTube. We always divulge of what we experienced during said meditation. Yeah, that's what we're gonna get to. By the way, if you would leave a review, leave us 5 stars if you can. You can comment on Spotify, do whatever you can, share us with everybody that you feel like is going through some sort of spiritual awakening, and maybe this spiritual Orphic Egg and the snake of mysteries is just enough to be able to crack that egg even a little bit more amongst your peers, even symbolically. And that's the magic of symbolism in general, is that it speaks volumes. It's not just surface level. It's everything encompassing. It's almost like, what is it called? The surface level horizon of a black hole, right? It's
the event horizon.
Event horizon. So the event horizon, they say which is the surface of a black hole, it encapsulates everything that ever has gone on and ever will go on, and everything that is currently going on that is on the surface. It's the event horizon. It captures every single moment that has ever existed within that black hole. And so yeah, maybe that's enough to get you excited. Maybe we're living in a black hole. Some people have said that.
I think even some scientists speculate that it's possible that we're just a universe within a universe, and within that black hole is our universe. And you know what I mean? So who knows, man? Every time I think of a black hole, I really don't understand it. Like, as much as I think I'm understanding it, I'm like, okay, it's a black hole, but it's full of mass, which would tell me that it's solid, and I don't know. It just gets wild for me.
Yeah,
so, but I love it though.
It's pretty damn fascinating. But yeah, that being said, we're gonna wrap this baby up and get over to the meditation. So yeah, hopefully you guys really enjoyed that. But if the Orphic Egg came here and it taught you anything, it's that you don't know what you don't know. So don't just get weird.
Stay weird. What'd you think, dude?
Ooh, I was experiencing some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
elaborate.
Yeah. So at first I was like, man, that sound is kind of fucking whack, at first, because I was like, man, this just sounds like not really something that you could get into a meditation with at first. And then I was like, but what if it is? What if it was?
Right.
And just try and play around like that. And instantly I started thinking of, all right, this is where my mind goes. So I was thinking, all right, if they say that, in the Bible that God spoke the universe into existence, right? And so that means that it would have to be some form of harmonics, some form of frequency, some sort of sound that ultimately made manifest the physical, right? And so then it was just like, all right, well, now I'm thinking, all right, if you got these, I don't want to say these beings, but just whatever the unity is, the source is, right? How would it create something out of harmonics at that point? And I was thinking, well, whenever you, let's just say you have like a dresser or something like that, and you're the only one that's pushing it, and you're trying to move it to a different location in your house, or maybe you got like a tool bench or something like that you're trying to move, and you can't pick it up by yourself, so it's going to be scraping across the floor, right? Almost like tectonic plates that are shifting a little bit. That's what almost the vibe that it was giving off. Yep. And that sound would be emergent from the physical being moved at that point. But if sound, came first before the physicality, then you would almost need that sound in order to create the physical. So you would need something a little bit more crazy sounding like that. Like you're really doing some kind of work. And so it's going to sound like, you know, a little bit chaotic at that point in order to move some shit around. Right.
Yeah.
So then I was thinking, all right, well, I'm trying to imagine what that thing looks like. I started thinking about the, you know, the angel with the wheels and the eyes and all that kind of stuff. That was ultimately the unified whatever. I mean, some people think that that's the angel or whatever. Maybe it is. But could that wheel within a wheel with all the eyes be the thing that is giving off the harmonics that is pushing and forcing things into physical reality of sorts, right? And yeah, I don't know. My mind just started getting a little crazy. And then I was like, all right, well, if I'm trying to imagine, you know, essentially, you know, that, what was it? Like that one little atom that was compressed before the Big Bang.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like I'm going crazy. But that one little atom that was compressed before the Big Bang, the moment of the explosion, right before that, you know, I wonder, you know, all right, well, if it was just a void of nothingness, first of all, there's never been any such thing as nothingness ever.
Right.
Nothingness can't exist, right? By definition, it's never existed. It can't exist.
It's no thing. Right.
So that would mean that one unified little atom, call that source, call that God, whatever, call that the pre-Big Bang, that existed. If it was just existing in the void, let's call it, I don't even want to call it nothingness. Let's just call it the void. And it almost made me wonder, like, all right, then that means that one little atom that was compressed was still within a container of the void itself. Right. And it made me wonder, like, I mean, is the void itself conscious? You know, and that brings forth like the idea of the yin and the yang, right? The light inside of the darkness and the darkness inside of the light with the two fishes chasing each other. Because I would imagine, you know, kind of like how I was in the void. I was aware of the void. I wonder if the void was aware of me. And that's what they say is that you stare into the abyss only to realize that the abyss is staring back up at you.
Right. And what's interesting is when people, you know, as far as what I hear, when people go into that DMT realm, it seems like they are with entities that are of other, you know, they're not coming from you, they're of an intelligence other than you, outside of you. And so if you look at it that way, then the void itself would be that still, even though to you it looked like it was absent of anything, you know, but it still had its own intelligence.
Well, it just made me think like, all right, that void was there before I appeared there.
Of course.
And so that void being by itself felt home. Nothing was out of the ordinary until I popped in. So now it's probably just as scared of me as I was of it. You know what I'm saying? If the void itself is a conscious thing, like I don't know, maybe it just is consciousness. It's the
you were an interdimensional being to the void at that point.
And yes. And so
its existence.
And so now it was losing its own mind by staring back at me at that point, right? And so now it's like we're both lost. And so what do we do to figure this out? We're going to fucking combine forces, and your pressure that you're applying onto the one little atom that is me causes the explosion and, you know, at that point, because at first you're scared of each other. Then you're like, all right, let's work together. That's all we got, you know? And I don't know. I'm just thinking like outside the box with that.
No, I love it.
For some reason, that's where my mind went. It went, you know, angels giving off harmonics, and the yin yang essentially being the void and the awareness. And could the awareness also be the void also be consciousness and awareness in and of itself?
No, that's cool. I love it. I love where the mind goes, because I'm sure you weren't intending on going there.
No,
you didn't know where you were going to go. You didn't know what you'd end up pondering, but whatever kind of just starts, and then you kind of just let that build and let it kind of develop on its own almost. And then here you are trying to figure out or understand the beginning of everything. You know, it's like, I love that kind of shit. It's one of my favorite things to think about. I know that it's something that we'll never understand. I mean, let's be honest.
It's like contrived.
You can try. It's fun to think about, you know, but it's funny how you went on to pondering about the beginning of everything, and what I was thinking about, it was the like eternal now. And that's what I went to. And as far as like, because I know that we tend to do that. We tend to go to the extremes. We go to the beginning of everything, or the
Right.
beginning, the alpha or the omega, the very end of something, the end of something's life. And I think that, and I know it sounds cliche, but I feel like we should just be focusing on right now, because I feel like we're always, or at least let me speak for myself. I feel like there's always like this ramping up of something. Like it's always something's building for this next thing, or this thing we have coming up next month, or
Yeah.
this like, oh, let's get this new promotion, or we're gonna maybe buy a house. Like it's always like this thing that's not here, and it's like it's never here. But then I feel like we're missing it. We're missing the right now.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's not a race. It's not this fucking competition that we're at odds with everything all the time. Let's just like enjoy what we have right now. I heard this one guy, I don't remember who was saying this, but he was talking about like the purpose of life, and just saying like, in his opinion, the thing that we should be doing, the purpose in life is to just enjoy the passage of time. Like that's it. Like we're in it. Here we are. Like don't be so you know, uh, anxious to get somewhere else, or to be, to build up to this next higher level of something. It's just like, be here, dude, because that's all we got. All
Yeah,
we got.
exactly.
And so, yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned the angels with the eyes, whatever. Because at one point, I did feel like I saw a bunch of eyeballs like staring back at me, and
Really?
then you bring up the void, like observing you,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so that was kind of cool. But But yeah, I mean, other than that, nothing too crazy happened, but it did feel pretty mystical in its own right?
Dude, yeah, it's man, it's just so crazy because it's things that you never think about,
Mhm.
that that you think about, that you tend to think about in meditation. It just causes you to zoom in farther than you've ever zoomed in before, because what
Mhm.
else are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're not worried about your next meal, you're not worried about sleeping, you're not worried about anything sexual or working, or you're not worried about any of that in
Right.
meditation, because you're in that higher perspective, and that
Mhm.
higher perspective doesn't need all of those things.
Right.
That higher perspective can see beyond just the materialistic shit that
Mhm.
is inevitably going to be taken from our cold dead hands.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of going so deep in meditation. Even if dude, that was only 9 minutes, 9.5 minutes, something like that,
Really?
and we were able
Wow.
to gather a lot of information, first
Yeah.
off from the content of which we talked about, but like,
Mhm.
and then combining that with that sound, and
Mhm.
and man, it's just crazy that that information and meditation births new thought.
Mhm. Yeah, and like you said, you just never know where it's gonna go. Like, in the beginning of that meditation, I was just trying to get into it, just like, all right, let me see what vehicle do I need to get here, to get where I'm going. And I just imagined that I was like inside of an egg, of a UFO, whatever you want to call it. I'm inside of this thing, and it's just barely big enough for me to sit inside of it. And I was able to, like, in my imagination, I was just imagining, instead of me moving around, I imagined that it was just fixed in one location, and everything else was just like just like shifting around, and I'm just stationary,
Yeah.
and then I just imagine that I'm in this very comfortable, like this thing is specifically built for me, and like I just try to take it there, and then I just went super relaxed, and then the thoughts just started going, and I used to try not to think about shit, but like once something starts, then I'm like, okay, let me build on that, and let me just see. There was a time recently too where I was getting like, it seemed like I was getting images of like almost symbolically, and it felt like almost like a psychic thing going on, where I was like, okay, what does, and I forget exactly now the things that I was being shown, but I was like, okay, now what does that mean? And then I would like see something else, and like it was like I was figuring some, maybe, yeah, of course, I'm sure it was just my subconscious or whatever, but whatever you want to call it, it was still, I was working with that,
Right, right.
and intentionally once it started happening. It was very interesting,
Well,
kind
in
of
the
spooky, but
and whatever you want to call that, I mean, let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, let's just say that you're working essentially with intelligence of some sort.
Mhm.
It seems, and this is the thing that it took me so long to figure out, But it seems that if we are able to communicate with anything telepathically, call it God, call it angels, call it ancestors, call it whatever, divine intelligence, whatever, right? Whatever it is that you're communicating with, it is not loud at all.
No.
It is extremely subtle. Like so subtle that it's barely
You
a
could miss it.
breeze. But it's like, it's almost like if you're a flag, you're getting like a little tassel movement. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just a little fiber that the breeze of this consciousness or this intelligence is barely fluttering up against. And that's something that I noticed. And so, which makes sense why, you know, people have praised, you know, people going into meditation, because unless you're in that, you know, that meditative state where everything finally slows down and your brain, you know, you're not so much worried about your thoughts. You're just, you know, floating in the ocean of consciousness at that point. Whenever you're finally there, that's whenever that soft little barely fart of a whisper comes through and it shines a light on it. And I think that that's what that is. I think that has to be whatever is out there outside of just our mind is what, you know, we have the ability to communicate with, as long as we, you know, turn down the
Everything
FM
else.
radio and tune into XM or whatever, you know?
And like you said, it's a whisper, you know, but once you are able to actually notice that little wave of the tassel, then you can like magnify it, you know, and shed more light on that. And okay, so what else can I get from this now, you know, in meditation?
Yeah. Yeah. It's freaking
It's
awesome.
interesting, dude. It's interesting. I never before doing this show, I never really realized just that in general, just being able to pay attention to those little things, you know. And it's like, ultimately, even if you don't even want to call it some divine intelligence outside of you, let's just say it's you. Still, you're working with the side of yourself that you didn't even know was there.
Oh, dude. It's
know?
pretty damn powerful, and I love it. I love working with it, and I think that that's, you know, that's got to be the next step. Whatever it is, it's like that's how you access it.
Yeah, and eventually, dude, I think that maybe, let's say, another 100 years or so, just to be fair, you know, I feel like more and more people are going to be aware of noticing the little movement of the tassel, if you will.
You know, and
it's just going to be normal.
I would think regularly that it would be about 100 years, but I say give it 15.
Yeah, because it's exponential, right?
It's like it's shit's speeding up, bro. Like it is, and maybe it's just a personal thing to me, or a personal thing to us, or a personal thing to the one that's listening, that are also experiencing like these, you know, extraordinary things that have no explanation. It's like, I think that it's just happening more often. And
and in the words of Terrence McKenna, it's just going to get weirder and weirder, and eventually people are going to have to start talking about it. You know? So
yes. Terrence McKenna was a real
him
one.
too.
Terrence Howard's a real one too, but all the Terrences out there.
Something about him, dude. If you're a Terrence, we're talking to you too.
My next dog will be named Terrence for sure.
Oh yeah. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
So anyway, the one, we appreciate you sticking with us through all of this spiritual madness. Hopefully you got a little something from it, at least something symbolic of the Orphic Egg, and maybe you can find a way to apply that to your own life and to your own consciousness, and keep on breaking that shell, baby.
That's it. That's all you can do, man.
Anyhow, all right, well, we're gonna dip out of here, and so we'll see you on the flip side.
Bye, guys.